This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. We're thrilled today to be joined by Holly Buckley. Holly chairs the healthcare department at McGuireWoods. She serves on some boards, and she works at the intersection of healthcare and private equity. She also helps to chair the Healthcare Private Equity Conference at McGuireWoods that's coming up May 14th and 15th in Chicago. Holly, there's been a ton of turmoil in the markets recently. What are you seeing, and what should we take out of that as to the impacts on the deal market?
Hey, Scott, and thanks for having me on. I'm actually coming at you live today from the KO 2025 Women's Healthcare Private Equity Summit here in Chicago, so I apologize if there's any background noise. So it's actually great to be at a conference right now and hear some of the discussion around what folks are seeing and how they're viewing the market. And so I have a few thoughts just from hot takes from the conference so far, and then a few thoughts on the federal level. In terms of what we're seeing in the market, I mean, I think one interesting observation is that healthcare provider services investing is likely somewhat tariff resistant. While I think the overall market conditions are going to have somewhat of an impact in terms of the specific sector, it may be a better sector to be in than some others that are going to be much more greatly impacted. I think, though, there are very strong headwinds in terms of the regulatory environment at both the federal and state level for different reasons. The federal level, it's really the uncertainty of the new administration. And on the state level, it's really around the transaction notices, both notice and consent that we're seeing a proliferation of, and we've talked about a number of other times. I think one of the other big headwinds we're seeing a lot of discussion around is just continued staff shortages and labor market issues. But we're maybe seeing some reduction in competition around certain assets, just given some reluctance to invest. I think we're seeing a lot of investors looking for investments with little or no exposure to government reimbursement. I think there's just so much uncertainty right now in terms of government reimbursement that investors are looking for areas where they're either a degree removed or in a different sector. One area that may not be surprising to have a lot of discussion at KO is women's health. It's an area that I think that folks view as having a lot of potential, but a lot of assets are still more at the VC size, but a lot of interest in assets around women's behavioral health, lactation, apps, menopause, just I think a lot of potential in this area. And then med spa, we've talked about, that's still an area with a lot of opportunity, infusion, and there's still a big focus on value-based care. And then in terms of PPM, where we've seen a fair amount of pullback, the themes really are that it needs to be PPM plus. Like, just rolling up businesses is not enough. There needs to be a strong angle in addition to that, as well as a key focus on culture and vision. But let me pause there and see if there are questions on any of those.
Yeah, no, let me ask you this question. You're at a women's leadership conference in healthcare, private equity, and private equity. What's the general tenor? Are people sort of anxious about the market? Are they excited about the market? What's the general tenor? Are people just thrilled to visit either way and learn from each other? Give us a feel for that. I know Lindsay Burton, who runs that organization, does an amazing job. Give us a sense of what the temperature is and what people are thinking and saying.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's always a general great vibe when you get to a women's investor conference. I think it's just an area where there frankly is not enough female representation yet. And so anytime you get a bunch of women together who are passionate about healthcare investing, there's a great vibe and a great excitement about visiting. But I think in terms of the market, I mean, I don't think anyone's excited about it. I think that there's a huge amount of trepidation and anxiety. I think that the current environment is one where no one quite knows what any day is going to bring, and folks are watching their stock portfolio crater or wildly bounce around. So I wouldn't say anyone's excited about the current environment on a kind of macro level, but great excitement about getting together and visiting, and optimism that better things are to come.
Good. And what do you see going forward this year? What's your sense? I know people are busy, but there's a lot of uncertainty in the markets. What's your sense of what we should expect going forward? Does a lot of it depend on if trade deals are done or not?
Yeah, I just don't know, Scott. I mean, I think that up until a couple of weeks ago, there was a fair amount of optimism. I think in the last week, I think a lot of things have been thrown into uncertainty. I can give some slightly more concrete updates on some trends on the federal level, but I think in terms of the deal environment, I think much remains uncertain until we get some clarity in terms of what the tariffs are going to look like in the macroeconomic environment. But I think on the federal level, there are certain things that we can actually comment on. On March 11th, the Senate confirmed Dale Slater as Assistant Attorney General for the U.S. Department of Justice Antitrust Division. I think we are anticipating still an active antitrust enforcement this year, although there's going to be a difference in approach from the Lena Khan era, but we're still expecting broad antitrust scrutiny across deals, wage fixing, no poach agreements, information sharing, and pricing. And I think that we do not think we'll see a reversal on the new Hart-Scott-Rodino filing requirements, which took effect in February. We think they're going to kind of be here to stay. We think there's going to be a ramp up of False Claims Act enforcement. The DOJ has signaled an aggressive stance on on False Claims Act enforcement, which fits with the Trump administration's priorities of increasing government efficiency and rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. And so I think we'll see an aggressive enforcement climate. We are continuing to see a proliferation of executive orders addressing a wide range of healthcare issues. We've been tracking them at the law firm, and we're seeing executive orders around telehealth access and health equity, Medicare cost reduction, behavioral health infrastructure modernization, behavioral health access, as well as things like transgender care that kind of fit with the Trump agenda. And we expect to continue to see more executive orders coming out of the administration. And then as far as Dr. Oz goes, he is the new CMS administrator. We are seeing a focus on Medicare Advantage and probably away from value-based care initiatives within traditional Medicare, which we were starting to see through the prior administration. So we think he'll really be focused on Medicare Advantage, and he's kind of pulling back some of the programs that were on traditional Medicare. And so those are some of the things we know about on the federal level, and I think much remains kind of up in the air in terms of what will be coming next.
Right. It does seem that, quite frankly, we saw today or late yesterday improved reimbursement for the Medicare Advantage plans, which then pumps more life and air into Medicare Advantage, even though it's cost the taxpayers a fortune and also is hated by physicians and hospitals. But fascinating to see sort of that getting pumped up again by this administration, and just literally fascinating to watch, where doctors and hospitals are struggling on rates. Medicare Advantage is getting a 5% increase, just striking, but is consistent with Dr. Oz's politics and beliefs in Medicare Advantage, and at least the Trump administration, the first administration, where they're very pro Medicare Advantage. So fascinating.
Yeah, we agree.
Anyways, a lot to digest currently, Holly. Thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about the Healthcare Private Equity Conference, May 14th and 15th.
Yeah, thank you for that opportunity. We're super excited. As you said, May 14th and 15th in Chicago. Anyone's welcome to reach out to me if they have questions. We've got a packed agenda with kind of deep dive sessions on healthcare provider investments, pharma services, digital health, as well as management of portfolio companies. We have a portfolio company boot camp on the 13th leading into the conference as a pre-conference event. And we have some great keynote panels, including Lance Armstrong, and we have a healthcare leadership panel on the 14th, as well as healthcare private equity and healthcare lending keynote panels as well. So the content's going to be great. The networking opportunities will be even better. And we'd love to see folks who are interested attending, and reach out to me at hbuckley@McGuireWoods.com if you have questions.
Holly, thank you so much for joining us. What a pleasure. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Scott.